Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for around about the next 45 minutes. Welcome along to our webinar. It's one of our series of webinars that we've run as part of our digital badge series for VAT Proficiency 2025. I'll tell you more about that series of webinars in just a moment. Today, though, it's session number 6, and we're looking at the running of reports to help you with I suppose to increase your confidence when it comes to reconciling your VAT. So we're looking at reports and making sure that you understand what's included on the reports and why you might have differences if you are comparing reports against each other as well. Now, what we'll do is we'll start with a little bit of housekeeping just before we get stuck into the webinar itself. So as normal, you don't need a microphone. If you do have one, if you enable it, you'll find it's muted automatically and you can't unmute yourself. So any questions, pop them in the questions panel. To do that, you just click the little speech bubble icon, which is on the taskbar down the right-hand side of your screen. If you give it a click, you'll have access to that box where you can start typing any questions or comments that you might have. Remember to click send as well, otherwise we won't see them. We're joined today by Abby and Tina. They'll be on hand in the background to help answer those questions. So any support you might need, they'll try and point you in the right direction or give you a straightforward answer to your query. There is an opportunity to download a copy of the slides via the handout option today. So 2 versions, the full colour version as normal, and there's the one, what we term the print-friendly version, where we've stripped out the colour, just in case anyone likes to print them and add their own notes, etc. It's not a definitive guide that the handouts though, it is just literally copies of the slides. So if you want the detailed information, sort of step-by-step guides to just about anything in your software, you will find that in the Help Centre. As usual, the session is being recorded. A link to the recording will be included on your follow-up email, which you'll receive round about an hour after we finish. So if you need a bit of a recap, maybe you've just done your VAT return, and obviously you'll not be doing it for another 3 months. So if you want it for nearer the time, just keep that email handy. On that email, it'll also include links so you can register for our other upcoming webinars. We've got loads of sessions in there at the moment. They run up to the end of this month. A couple of sessions for August as well, I think, have been added. And we'll shortly be adding the rest of August and some of September as well. So watch out for those if you want to earn more digital badges. So more information on that one coming soon. The follow-up email will also include a link to our recording. So if there's any sessions you have missed or you want to learn a new area of the software, just consolidate your knowledge a bit, or maybe you've got colleagues which are new to Sage, then do take advantage of those as well. Well over 100 recordings available now. Now, for the VAT Proficiency 2025 webinar series, the webinars we've been running, we're up to session number 6 today. So this is the repeats. We ran them originally in June and they proved so popular, or people maybe missed out on the badge just by 1 or 2 sessions. So we decided we'd run them again in July just to give everyone that opportunity. We can only run them so many times, probably run them again next year. But these are the sessions we've been running. So VAT corrections, we've got that tomorrow afternoon, and then on Thursday afternoon we've got the quiz, and we'll be repeating that quiz because it is the mandatory part of the digital badge. We'll be repeating that on Friday morning, so good opportunity to attend that one if you haven't already. To earn the digital badge, you will need to have attended 5 of the 7 topics plus one of the quiz sessions. Doesn't matter whether that was from June or July. Any combination, that will be absolutely fine. We expect that badge to be issued probably towards the end of next week. You do need to attend the live sessions. We've had loads of questions today about, well, if I watch the recording, does that count? It states that on the booking page that you do need to attend the live sessions. Right, let's have a look at what we're covering in this session though. So we're going to start with having a look at the drill down in just a moment. It solves a lot of queries that we get on our support team, that one, just pointing people in the right direction, how to check the VAT figures, where the figures have come from, etc. We'll be looking at the various VAT reports, primarily the detailed VAT report, which goes down to transaction level. We'll be looking at the day books reports, give you an idea of what those are, how you can access them, etc. If you're comparing things like your VAT return or the detailed report to your day books report, why might you have differences? So we'll be looking at sort of trying to identify those as well. Some common things that do catch people out. And then I want to pick up on other VAT schemes as well. So I'm really just going to touch on cash accounting today, but as you can probably imagine, there's loads of VAT schemes. We could be on all day talking about the VAT schemes, and we're trying to cover everything. So we're just going to cover the two main ones, obviously concentrating on the standard VAT scheme today, but I will touch on cash accounting later on in the session. And then just right at the end, we'll explain a little bit more about the additional support. Our Help Centre is a fantastic resource. If you haven't used that yet, I'll show you where you can gain access and the type of information that's there to support you with your software. And then if there is any outstanding questions at that point, and I'm sure there probably will be, we tend to get a good flurry of them at the end. It seems normally very quiet at the beginning, and then we get that big flurry at the end, and then we struggle to keep up a little bit. So if there's anything outstanding, I'll chip in with those as well, but we'll hang around for a few of those at the end. We'll read some of them out as well, and maybe, if we can, maybe run a few extra demos here and there. But do keep those questions coming. As soon as you think of anything, get it popped in there. Give us a chance. Obviously, Abby and Tina are in the background. We'll try our best. Can't promise to answer everything though, but do keep them coming. Right, let's start with drill down then. Now, drill down is it's one of those options that a lot of people don't realize is there. And when you calculate your VAT return, so when you're on that sort of step 2 of the VAT return itself, and it shows you the VAT return figures that are being calculated, you've got icons next to the various values. Now, if you're in Ireland, obviously producing an Irish return, you'll have obviously a similar page. Obviously, you've got different boxes, and the way it calculates is different. But again, where there is one of these sort of drill down icons with the arrows on next to a value, it means you can click on it to drill down. And when you do that, it will bring up what I term drill down level 1. So it's going to show you a table. I'll give you an example of that one in a moment. So we'll show you sort of a table of transaction type by tax code for the box that you've actually clicked onto. So that figure in box 1 as an example, can't quite see because of the box, the highlight box, but the £903.20, for instance, if I'm thinking, where does that come from? I can click on it, it will give me a breakdown of transaction type by tax code. Sometimes that's enough to point people in the right direction. Now, beyond that, you can then click on a value on the table, and that will take you all the way down to what we term transaction level, or what I refer to as drill down level 2. The various reports you can run from the VAT return as well to report on that information as well. You don't just have to do it on screen, but doing it on screen, nice and simple, probably the easiest option of the lot for checking your figures and how they calculate. So drill down level 1, when we click on that first icon next to a box on the VAT return, it'll give me a box similar to what we've got on screen here. So you get that table. So if you're wondering and you're looking at your VAT return thinking, well, for my VAT scheme, and obviously your region as well, whether you're UK or Ireland, which transactions are included in the likes of, say, box 1 that I've clicked on. So you get that breakdown. It'll give you a list of them along the top. But also against that, you'll have the tax codes running down the side to form that table. And you'll get subtotals. So we can see in this example of that £903.20, which shows you the total at the top there, top right, it gives me that breakdown. So in the sales invoices column, T1, I can see, right, well, T1 invoices has made up £633.20 of that overall value. Now you've got that option to export to Excel. You can report on that as well if necessary. So I'll show you how to get out those reports in a few minutes. But also, if you're looking at that and think, well, I've got a value there, it's a bit higher than I was expecting, it's lower, or just in general, you want a much better understanding of where that value's come from. What you can do is just click onto the value, and then you would double click it. And that would take you down to the transaction level. So transaction level does exactly that. It gives you a list of the transactions that contribute to that value. So I'd clicked on sales invoices T1 where it was 633.20. It would give me that transaction breakdown. Again, I can print the list, I can send that to Excel. But it gives me that transaction list. It's letting me know, right, these are the transactions that make up that value. So you can very easily get at that from your VAT return. And more often than not, when people do contact our support line thinking, well, actually the figure in box 1, where does it come from? Or you do want a better understanding, or actually it is a bit higher than what you were expecting it to be. Just drilling down and go, oh yeah, the light bulb comes on and think, oh yeah, it just acts as a bit of a reminder. But beyond that, as I say, you can get to that transaction level if required. So let me just quickly show you that, just in case there's any doubt of what we mean by using the drill down. So if I go into my software here, we'll just go into the VAT. Let me just check the transactions a moment. So we've got them all dated at the beginning of the year. There's not many on this one because it is just it's a tiny set of data that I'm using for this demo. So let's say we were just generating the VAT return for the start of my current financial year. Obviously, if you were doing it, you've got the 3 steps. Always take that back up. Can't stress that one enough. Always take that back up. Something Matt would have addressed as well when he runs the part 1, which covers sort of the first 2 tabs of running your VAT return. Always take that back up. Just in case you might do something in error. You might reconcile your transactions in error and you just went in to flag them just to check your values. Means you can undo that by restoring that back up that you would have taken. But here what we're going to do is I'm just going to set this from month 1 of my current financial year to month 3. Calculate the VAT return. It'll identify so many transactions. I've got a late entry there as well, which if you've got more than one, again, something Matt would have covered. If you've got more than one, it's just a case of you deciding, do you want to include them? Do you not? Chances are they're probably just late entries or transactions that weren't entered at the time when you come to generate your VAT return, so weren't included in the VAT return. Sometimes it could be caused by corrections as well, so deletions where it's needed to reverse a transaction, etc. Just being picked up when you next run your return. Generally speaking, you should include them. If any doubt though, get in touch with our support team and they can offer a bit of advice. Now that takes me on to step 2 of the VAT return. So this is where I've got the figures here. Now they do differ a little bit, I think, from the screenshots we were using a few moments ago. So I'm looking at step 2. I've got the VAT return, the figures it's calculated. So this is where I can say, well, right, this figure in box 1, where does it come from? I can click anywhere in that box. And this is where it brings up the drill down level 1. So we've got that table. Again, if I highlight that value, and then I double click it, it's then going to give me a list of the transactions. Just a slight pause there where I think my machine's running a little bit slow today. So little pause there just while it gives you that list. So again, if I wanted to, I can send that to Excel. I can just maybe print the list and I can go in, maybe check those off if I want. Now you can do that for anywhere you've got a value here. So receipts at T1, for instance, again, if I highlight it, double click it, it will give me that breakdown, just the one transaction in this case. And again, you can do that for any of the boxes on the VAT return where you've got this little icon attached. So box 6, give it a click. Again, you'll see that breakdown. So box 6, obviously on a UK VAT return, we're now looking at the net value of the transactions. Now, for those 2 drill down levels, if you are wanting to report on that, to save you going into them and sending them to Excel or anything like that, what you can do is you can click print VAT return. And the summary, obviously the VAT return itself is just going to, essentially on a UK return, it's going to give me a report of boxes 1 to 9. But if we have a look at the summary and the detailed, I'll just leave those 2 ticked. The summary report, let's bring that one to the front. So the summary is essentially, it's just a report of that drill down level 1. So I've got the drill down table for box 1. If I continue down the report, I'll then have the table for the next box that I could drill down on. So this is telling me this is the figure for box 2, box 4, and then it's going to go on to box 6, etc. So it gives me that initial breakdown. The detailed report, great report to have this one. Now it can be quite a lengthy report. So even based on my, what have I got? I think I've got about 12 transactions entered. It's a 2-page report. Hasn't even included all transactions. But it's a 2-page report. Imagine multiplying yours up by however many transactions you include in your VAT return. It can be quite a lengthy report. You can print it at any time, even after you've reconciled. You can always go to an old VAT return and you can regenerate this report. So it's a great report to have if you ever have a VAT inspection and you're looking at a figure and the question comes, right, that figure you declared in box 1, where does that come from? How did you calculate that? Well, this report tells you exactly that. It's saying, well, based on your VAT scheme, your VAT period, these are the transactions that make up that value. So you've got that full breakdown should you need it. So this is the one where if I drill down even further, so the figure that was in box 1 where it was sales invoices at T1, when I double click that value on the table, it generated that transaction list. So it does that for every box that essentially has a value on that table. So for box 1, we've got sales invoices at T1, we've got a sales credit at T1, this is individual transactions, we've got receipts at T1, and we've got journal credits at T1. So again, you've got that detailed breakdown should it be needed. Now there was nothing in box 2 or 4 for myself, so it's gone straight on to then box 6. So as I say, this can be a lengthy report. If you are going to generate it and you think, well, I just want to save a copy, export it, save it as a PDF. You don't necessarily need to print these out. I think people are still in the habit of printing everything. So that's my sort of the drill down option, and obviously how you can report on that as well. Right, let's pop back to the slides for a moment. So I just want to quickly mention that for detailed VAT report again. So as I say, it's on step 2. It's the best report to have. Obviously, you probably want the VAT return anyway. It's got your totals on there, but it's the best one to have of the other reports that are available. When you go to run the reports as well, if some of them are grayed out, so in the example on the screenshot, you can see adjustments is grayed out, and that's because I didn't have any manual adjustments that I've made to the VAT return itself. If I had, that report would be available. But remember when I calculated, I had that earlier unreconciled transaction, which I did include. So on the screenshot there, you can see that report is active. If I didn't have any, that one would be grayed out as well. So that earlier unreconciled is the equivalent of the detailed report, but just for those late entries, that's all it's going to show. So as I say, you've got that box by box breakdown. And again, probably what you will do, and we find this a lot, you tend to get extremes as well. Some people will just calculate the VAT return and say, well, that's it. They're the figures that Sage have calculated. You might not know otherwise. If you do like to check them, you go the other extreme. You probably start ticking off your transactions against each other. And this is where a lot of the queries come from, where people are looking at the reports and thinking, well, the total for this report doesn't equal the total for that one. So detailed VAT report, great one to have. If you're in Ireland, obviously it's just a different breakdown. Now moving on to the daybooks reports. Daybooks reports, They are available also when you're running the VAT return on step 2. When you get onto the step 2, reconcile the VAT return, where you're trying to agree your figures, you've got the reconciliation reports option. So you've got print VAT return, which enables you to get at the VAT return and the detailed report, but the reconciliation reports enables you to get at things like your day books reports. Now you can run these reports outside of the VAT return if you want to. So you could go into customers, you could go into reports, and you could, if you want to, you can run through the various day books reports. It's just a question of knowing what you need. Now, this reconciliation reports option, it brings together all the reports that you might generate for your specific VAT scheme. So if you look at, if you're on cash accounting, for instance, and you're thinking, oh, hold on a minute, I'm looking in that folder there and it says standard VAT. If you're on cash accounting, it would say cash accounting. So it would generate or give you and provide you with a list of reports applicable to your VAT scheme. So let me just quickly show you those. So again, I'm still on step 2 of the VAT return. If we go into reconciliation reports, now we've got nothing listed just at this stage, but if we expand the reconciliation reports folder, lists my VAT scheme, so standard VAT in this case, and then it lists the various ledgers that I might go into to generate the likes of my day books, various day books reports. So if I go into customers, and you can see I've got a list of reports. Now, the list of reports that you might have, it can depend on your version at this stage as well. So I'm on version 32, so I think this changed on version 31, this one, where we're trying to cut down on the number of reports that are actually listed for you. So on all the versions, you would have day books, customer invoices, day books, customer credits. Whereas this one, we've got just day books, customer transactions detailed. And if we preview this one, first thing it asks me for is, well, what type of transaction is it you're after? So if we just wanted the day book customer invoices report, we would choose invoices at the top. We can specify a customer reference if we want one. Obviously, we're just going to accept all of them. And then we want the relevant transaction date. So ideally, you want this to be the same as your VAT period. Now, one little tip, and I always like to mention this one, is whenever you ask for a date range on reporting, you've got this little option here. So sometimes this can just help you get at the date range that you're after without having to sort of type it in or select it from the calendar, as it were. So you'll notice, you're probably aware of this, generally when you run a report for a date range, generally goes back to 1980. So don't click on the calendar and start thinking, right, I need to click all the way through. It's going to take you forever. You can either type in the date, or if I choose something like this financial year, at least it starts for the right period then, and then I can just amend the other one. So we'll run it for the same period. So we'll do to the end of March. So same as my VAT quarter. Everything else I'll just leave as is. And we'll just OK that. And what we've got this time is, in this case, it's a list of invoices. So invoices, customer invoices in this case, so those with the transaction type SI. It's not looking at the invoices and credits list, it's looking at the actual invoices on your transaction list. So the ones that they may have come from the invoices and credits, so where they've been updated to the ledgers, but these are the ones, the audit trail transactions, the ones that appear on your transactions list, the SI transactions that fall within the relevant date range and meet the rest of the criteria that you might have specified as well. So it is just you've got the transaction number, you've got the type, you've got the date, you can see which customer it's for, relevant nominal code, you've got the net, the tax, and also the gross, and also obviously shows you the tax code as well. So easy to get at those reports should you need them. But just in case anyone's got that slightly older version, So I think it's version 30 and below, you'll have the individual day book reports listed. If I just quickly switch companies for a moment. And I'm just going to close out of that one. So if I just quickly switch companies, I've got a cash accounting company set up as well. Right, where is this? This one. So I'll highlight this company, open company, just so you can see this, the subtle differences basically. So if I click into, well, once I've entered my password, if I click into the VAT return window, again, I can click in the VAT return, specify the relevant VAT period. So we'll do it the same. So January 25 to March 25, calculate the return. And again, I've got the drill down available. So if I drill down this time, you can see that it's picking up different transaction types this time because it's set up for the cash accounting scheme. But again, it's nice and easy to get at. So if I'm looking at receipts, T1, highlight it, double click it, and it'll then give me that list of transactions. So print VAT return, exactly the same options available to you. And when we go into reconciliation reports, you'll see that when I expand the reconciliation reports folder, I've now got the VAT cash scheme. So we can expand that into customers, and it will list the various reports that you might need. So cash accounting is based around receipts rather than invoices and credits. So that's the report you'd use. Hope that makes sense. So very little difference, but again, just ensuring that you're comparing the right reports. Right, okay. Let's pop back to the slides for a moment. So just to confirm, the daybooks report, we just looked at this one a moment ago when I was on the standard VAT company. So it basically shows specific transaction type, in this case invoices, that falls within the date range that you've specified. Now, when you're drilling down and you're wanting to compare, so let's say we'll go back to box 1 and we've got that initial drill down where we've clicked on the little icon next to box 1, it gives us that. So when we're looking at the totals on there, we might want to look at the likes of the daybook customer transactions report and specify, right, we want to run that for invoices. And it would give me a list of invoices, and I could look at that VAT column. Does it agree with what's in here? Similar for credits. Receipts, a little bit different. Few more reports to run. Now, these ones, the bank receipts, cash receipts, credit card receipts, it's essentially the same report, but the reports are going to look for specific transaction types. Now, those specific transaction types will be determined by, obviously, the type of transaction that you enter, but also the account type that the bank account is set up as. Now, I'll just quickly explain what I mean by that. I'm just going to switch back to my other company. I'll quickly share my screen so you know what I'm doing. So I just go back to File and Open Company Data. We'll find the right one. This one. So we'll just quickly log in. So just to confirm those reports, a couple of questions came through there about you got into the VAT return, you've looked at your reports, and there's nothing there. So just make sure when you are going in that you obviously you've got the right date range entered. I'll calculate it. Should find that late entry I mentioned earlier. And then when we go into the reconciliation reports folder, you need to make sure that you're expanding the reconciliation reports, you're expanding your VAT scheme, and then you're going into the relevant folder. Now, if you don't have those folders, it's probably because the way you've upgraded your software over the years. So if that's there and you haven't got any reports, any subfolders, get in touch with our support team and they'll sort that out for you. So Maxine, you mentioned you've got no reports. It's either you need to browse through to the relevant folder, or if you're doing that and they're not there or the folders aren't there, speak to our support team. The other reports, obviously, when I'm looking here, I've got things like bank as well. So you've got the various bank reports in there as well, should you need them. Just a case of making sure you're in the right folder. But coming back to the transaction types, so for bank payments, for instance, when you enter that, it may go through as a BP, a CP, or a VP. So it depends on your bank account type. If we just go into bank accounts for a moment, so we'll close out the VAT return, into bank accounts, and if I go into this account here, you can see the account type is a check account. So if I was running a day books report, and I just wanted it for, say, this bank account, if I was to enter a payment via, say, this icon, bank payment, if I did that, it would record that as a BP, a bank payment. If it's a cash account and the account type is set to cash account, if I was to use that icon to make that bank payment, it would record that as a CP, a cash payment. And similarly, let's see if I've got this flagged right. Yeah, I do. If it's flagged as what we term a credit card account, if I was to enter a bank payment against this account, it would record that as a VP. Now that's the only difference that makes. So please don't get hung up on the account type. If you've got it set to, if it's a cash account and actually it should be a bank account, it'll make no difference. It's just when it comes to reporting, you just need to be aware of it. I hope that makes sense. But when it comes to generating those reports, we'll go back to that VAT return one more time. I'll include that late entry again. So when it comes into this area, reconciliation reports, we expand the relevant folders, we go to bank, and let's say we do the cash payments detailed report. So it's looking for CP transaction types. Now, if I was to run that for my account 1200 only, I'll just accept the day range because normally you would specify that, but I'll just accept the day range. I've only got 12 transactions. But I just wanted to show you this. It tells me where the report could not be generated. No data was returned for the report. And that's just because of the filter that's attached to the report. So this one specifically is only picking up CP transactions, those cash payments. So it's something to be aware of when you are running something like the daybook bank payments. You might not get all of them, even though you're running it for all of your bank accounts, because some of your accounts might be flagged separately as different account types. So just something to be aware of when you are running those reports. Now, just quickly heading back to the slides, that final column on the drill down, the journal credits in this case, easiest way to run that one, it's a daybook nominal ledger report. If you run that report, again, it's available from those reconciliation reports. You just need to go into nominal and you'll have the daybook nominal ledger report, and that will pick up journals only, and that's what you'd be looking for your column 4. Putting it slightly differently as well, again, if you're looking at the VAT report details, you can see sort of the breakdown of what you're after as well. So that, remember, it's got the total of your sales invoices. So again, if you're comparing that report, you'd be comparing it to the daybook customer transactions report for invoices only for the relevant date range. So easy enough to get at the information. But where do the problems lie? And it's when you've got differences. So when unexpected results. So you've looked at the report and, ooh, they're different. Why is that? So here we've got a couple of examples. So we got the VAT report detailed on the left. It's for the relevant period. So we run that it's for the VAT period, January to end of March. And we've also got a daybook customer transactions report, which is picking up invoices only. Now, if we're comparing the transactions and we're comparing the totals, we can see the total on this report on the left. The total of invoices at T1 is £633.20. But we can see the tax amount on the other report, on the daybooks report, is £393.20. So there's a difference there. And this is the type of query that people contact our support team about. So I'm running the two reports. They're for the same date range. There's a difference. Why is that? So if we compare those two reports, just have a look at the totals. We can see in both reports, we've got transactions 2, 3, 4, and 5. But if I just go back a slide, actually I don't need to go back a slide, I've one step ahead there. You can see that on the VAT report detailed, it's picking up transaction number 1. It doesn't pick that up on the daybooks report. And the daybooks report picks up transaction number 6, but it's not showing that on the VAT report details. Now the reasons for those, and just sort of spell it out to you. Transaction number 1 on the VAT report, remember that late entry? So that was prior to the date range, prior to the VAT period. The VAT report detailed, it includes that. It's showing you that breakdown, that complete transaction breakdown of the transactions that are included in your VAT return. So it does include late entries. The daybooks report, on the other hand, works slightly differently. It works as per the date range. So the transactions have got to fall within that date range to be included. Now you'll notice transaction number 6 on the daybooks report. The reason that isn't showing on the VAT report detailed in box 1, tax code T1, is that it's a different tax code. So it uses T0. So it would still, in this case, it's still a VAT-able tax code, but it's just going to appear elsewhere on the report. It doesn't contribute a value to box 1, and therefore that's why it's not included on that VAT report detailed. So when you're running reports and you're comparing, it's trying to identify those differences. Be nice and easy just to sit and tick off, right, transaction 2 is on each report, 3, 4, 5, each report, right, I'm left with some differences. Why is that? So it's understanding how the reports actually calculate. And they're the types of things that catch people out. I hope that makes sense. That's probably the most common thing. So reasons for difference. Earlier unreconciled transactions, so there was late entries shown the VAT return, but not the daybooks. Because obviously daybooks wise, that transaction would have been an earlier unreconciled transaction. It's prior to the date range you're going to be running that report for. Tax codes with no tax value. Going to show on the daybooks report. That daybooks report, if we just go back to it for a moment, you can see the daybooks report is just a list of all invoices that fall within the relevant date range. It doesn't matter whether it's any tax code, it will list it. If it's an SI transaction and it falls within that date range, it will list it on that report. I hope that makes sense. So just going back to that summary page. So that second bullet. So tax codes which may have no tax value. So T0, T2. Show on the daybooks, but not the VAT return boxes 1 and 4. because there is no VAT value. And then finally, T9 tax code transactions. They're going to show on the daybook report because they are an SI transaction, falls within the date range, but it's not going to be included on the VAT return because it's T9. It's classed as being non-VATable. So those are, as I say, those are the types of things that catch people out. So other VAT schemes, we did touch on the VAT reports for cash accounting. So just remember, when you drill down, it will give you a list of the transaction types that are included. If anyone needs to check their VAT scheme as well, I'll just quickly show you where you can, just in case you're wondering what you're actually set up for. I think I had this one last time. People saying, well, I haven't even got a clue what I'm set up for. You could drill down and try and work it out, but you can easily go to settings, company preferences. It'll prompt you for your password. And then on the VAT tab, you've got your VAT scheme listed. So it'll tell you what you're set up for in your software. So in my case, I'm set up for the standard VAT scheme. Obviously, there's a few others there as well. If anyone's things like partial exemption or anything like that, you would need to choose one of them. There is information in our help center about things like calculating partial exemption. So if you do want that, that's where you'll find it. Right, any final questions if you want to start popping them in there? So additional support-wise, loads available in our help center. We always stress this one, loads of detailed sort of step-by-step guides, whether it's you want advice on how your VAT return calculates, how to calculate the VAT return in the first place, entering transactions, which tax code you should use for certain transactions, anything and everything to do with your software, do check out our help center. As far as VAT is concerned, when you access our help center, you will be presented with a screen similar to what you can see there, and there is a manage your VAT section, and when you go into that, it'll ask you for your region. So are you Great Britain and Northern Ireland, or you're based in the Republic of Ireland, and that will guide you to the appropriate information. So last call for questions. If you've got any, quickly pop them in there now. If anyone wants a copy of the handout, they're not available to download afterwards, so do take that opportunity. Click the link, it'll download it for you. Make sure you save a copy once it has downloaded. The follow-up email will be with you in around about 1 hour. It does include a link to today's recording, so do watch out for that one. It's also got links to our upcoming webinars and also our recordings page. Right, I'll come back to questions in a moment if anyone has any. I can't see any additional questions just at this stage, but let me quickly take the opportunity to thank you for coming along. Hope you've enjoyed it. For those, some of you will think, well, actually, I knew most of that, or maybe you're really confident and you think, actually, I knew all of that. Maybe you're very new to Sage. You think, actually, I knew none of that. Wherever you fall, hopefully you're feeling just a bit more confident. Hopefully it'll help you get a bit more from your software, just with a little bit better understanding. You can take a minute to complete the survey that pops up as you leave the session. It should take you about a minute max. So give us a score. What did you like about the webinar? Any thoughts, ideas that you want to share on how we can improve webinars, topics you'd like to see covered going forwards, let us know. So if you can do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. That follow-up email will be with you in around about an hour's time. Right, I haven't had any additional questions. If you do think of any when you leave, so if you're like me, I end the webinar and I think, oh, I wish I'd said that, or I forgot to mention that today. So if you're in that position, or you come across anything in the next time you're running your VAT return, get in touch with our support team, or do check out the information in our help center. But good luck. I hope your next VAT return is just that little bit easier for you. And hopefully we'll see you on some other webinars soon. Many thanks.